Welcome to Innovators Unscripted, the podcast for innovators by innovators. Today, Tina and I are so excited to welcome not only a Google innovator, but also a champion of champions. He is a trainer, a coach, and a GEG leader, and we're going to find out many, many other things. But we are excited to welcome Rick Ballew to the podcast today. And Rick, before we get into your story and who you are and all of these amazing things you do, can you just give us a little brief introduction to yourself and where you are?
Sure. I won't be brief because we are discussing my favorite subject, me. My name is Rick Ballew. I am currently a middle school computer science teacher in Bloomington, Minnesota. Bloomington is where you would find the Mall of America. It's a suburb of Minneapolis. Anyway, I say currently teaching computer science to sixth, seventh, and eighth graders because my first 22 years in education, I was teaching beginning band, but it was going down my path of EdTechness that kind of led me to now teaching computer science in my district. The end.
Awesome. So we always like to start off with a little browser tab confession because we know innovators are notorious multitaskers, and you in particular are like the all-star of multitaskers. So how many tabs do you have open on your browser, and maybe share with us a weird or unexpected one?
Okay, well, it depends which browser tab, right? Because I have four instances of Chrome up. So there's my personal, my day job, the one that provides insurance and the mortgage. That's the school I teach in. The side work I do with ISTE, and then there's one for my grad school courses. So I'll just do the side hustle with ISTE. 1, 2, 3, 4. 22. Is
Wow.
that bad? What's the average?
I'm impressed that you can hold up this meeting. You must be on a strong device
I
to have
always
all
try
those tabs open.
always the newest MacBook. That's one of my problems. So, though it's just an M4, not anything special yet. So,
Ooh, nice. I don't know, but you just said what is the average, and I just sat here for a minute going, I don't know what an average even is. It's been here and there. It's been all over the place. It's been like 25 different Chrome like instances, and then it's been like I only keep two tabs open, but I use all like tab groups. So I guess everybody's different. There's no average. You
right.
do you.
Okay,
So
cool.
so so if we're gonna talk about, I'm actually a little bit interested in the idea that you were saying that you were beginning bands, but then obviously we're going down the path of Google Innovators. So you were part of the New York City 2019 cohort, correct?
Yes, that was me.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about like what brought you to the academy then, and what was your main project about?
Sure. Honestly, it was badge chasing is what got me into anything Google related at all, right? I had been doing beginning band for 20-ish years, 21, 20, 19 and 20, somewhere in there years, and I got bit by the EdTech bug. I went to like a one of those EdTech conferences, and I had signed up for it in the fall, and it showed up in the spring, and I'm like, why would I do why who agreed Saturday? Why am I doing this? But I went to it and I just fell in love immediately with all the tools. And I'd kind of been sniffing around a lot of the Google tools to begin with, just because a background on my beginning band. When I started in my district in the 1900s in 1998, I was in one building, right? And all of the elementaries came to this one building, and I got to see all the fifth graders. And every fifth grader plays an instrument. That was the directive. Um, then they put fifth grade back in the elementaries, but wanted to maintain every kid playing. My first year, when I went back to the elementaries with fifth grade band, I was at three schools. The next year, I was at five. And after that, I was at all 10, two buildings a day, 5 days a week. And the person I was going with, because there were only two FTEs, full-time educators, doing this, um, she was super old school. She started in 1969. And so every student got a piece of paper and a three-ring binder. And we had 10 three-ring binders, one for each building. And when she retired, I'm like, that is dumb. We have this thing right here. Surely there's a way to make this less ridiculous. Because I was just carrying around this big old Xerox box full of like 10 binders with 750 students in it. And I'm like, this is silly. And so it was right around then that I started getting into the Google tools. And in order to learn them, I went through the Google Educator thing and I got level one and level two. And I'm like, well, what else is there? And so, and that was after that EdTech conference. And so I became a trainer and a coach. Well, I became a trainer. Coach wasn't a thing then. And then I'm like, what's this innovator about? And so I applied and was promptly denied. I think I applied 4 times, somewhere in there. And finally, I reached out to an innovator. I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? And he's like, well, I kept proposing a problem and saying, and my solution is dot, dot, dot. And they're like, why are you doing that? That's not what the academy's about. It's about, you know, you might have an idea, but keep that to yourself and then apply. And so one of the things I noticed traveling between the 10 buildings is Bloomington, although being um, a suburb of Minneapolis, when in the when it first Bloomington first became Bloomington, right, in the 60s or whatever, it was pretty much baby boomer, bunch of white folk moved in. Well, that's not what we have anymore in Bloomington. And but a lot of the teachers look like this. For our audio listeners, just generic white person. So the issue became, how can we get kids interested in music when it doesn't relate to them culturally, right? And so I watched a lot of the classroom music teachers try different, just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And I was like, there's got to be a better way for that. And so I came up with my thing, which was, how might we, and then I already forgot what it was because it was so long ago. But it was essentially, how might we find culturally appropriate music for the students in front of us, right? And so this was before, like, honestly, now we could just ask Claude or Gemini or something, and it might give us a better list. But at the time, it was all being sourced from just random other music teachers. So I helped create a site where people could like say, I found this works for me, or here's a bunch of resources, and I just kind of aggregated it, and ta-da, that was my project.
Wow. What a story. And thank you for your honesty there around like I think we've all been through the like badge chasing phase
Oh,
of like,
100%. Oh, I'm still there. I'm
well,
Me too. Me too.
and it's a balance because like at some point like it is the badge and the like the credential, but then when you're in the middle of it, it's really that nugget in the middle, that like gold where you're like, this is good and I'm learning stuff and I can share this stuff. And
Mhm.
that's where like you said, like where you started really building your list, and you were in the trainer program. And then I think you really shared a really good piece of advice for our listeners who are either waiting to find out if they're accepted or who are working on their applications right now. And that's, we really focus on the problem and not the
Yeah.
solution. And a lot of us are those type A organized, like we want to solve the problems. And we also want to show that we're eager to solve the problems. But in this application process, you have to show the eagerness without that potential solution there. I'm wondering if you
Absolutely.
can tell us a little bit about your time at the academy, because it was right before the COVID shutdown, right? It was in 2019.
Yep, it
Um,
was, geez, October. Like there weren't any travel restrictions. It was still kind of a, everything's great. Have you heard about this thing in China? Like that was it. Like that's that's what was happening. So like travel was normal. There were no masks or anything like that. So the way the academy was run then, we went to New York. They brought us in and it was a 2 day thing, and then they had an energizer the day after, so I just stayed for the whole shebang. It was a lot of design sprints where we would discuss like, okay, now you're going to do this, so we'd go through the design process. Future Design School, is that their name? Future,
yes, that
yeah.
sounds
Yep.
familiar.
Was there and led us through all of it. Andy Caffrey was supposed to be there, but couldn't find his passport. So he didn't make it. D. Lanier, yeah,
Wow.
D.
That's an
Lanier ended
interesting
up
story.
hosting. Yeah. So he did show up a couple times on like from a in his phone, just on the big screen. Let's see what else was interesting. Oh, this was the first time they included a higher ed group. Because in the past it was always just, K-12 educators, but this included a higher ed. team, I guess, if you will, or
Oh,
group or
that's interesting.
whatever. And in the process, um, there was, I think they missed, I don't remember. But anyway, it was cool. What else? The Energizer was neat. It was really cool to see Google's offices in New York because I'd never been. Um, all in all, it was really neat. I will say though, the people who get into virtual, I am 100% jealous of. I'll just throw that out
Really?
there.
Why is
Yeah.
that?
Well, I mean, it was neat to go to Google. It was neat to see. I ended up getting stuck in an elevator, so when we did the office tours, we didn't get to go on it.
Oh
If you
no.
get a
Oh
chance,
no.
yeah. What had happened was we were all, you know how you have to go with like a Google person
Right.
to just anywhere in the building, right? And so one whole group got into one of the elevators, and there was a pretty big elevator, and the person said, "Oh, let's bring the other group in." So we had two groups all crammed into one elevator, and we got stuck between floors. So by the time they got us out, which it wasn't dangerous in any way because it's the Google offices, we were going to be fine. It's just we were trapped there probably 20 minutes, which was
Very
unpleasant.
uncomfortably. And while at the beginning of COVID.
Right, was unpleasant. But it meant didn't get the whole tour of the place. So, but it was neat to see that. It's just when I got done, right? Like when we get back from, I wasn't like super motivated to do stuff. I was just like, whoa, that was an experience. Okay, time for real life. With the virtual academy people, I got to be a mentor for one of the people coming out of the virtual academy. And when she was done, she came out and like, here's my project, like finished. Like because of the design sprints every couple weeks or whatever, because the virtual thing wasn't like an all day, 2 day event. It was spread out over time because it was the first time they'd done it. She came out finished. I was like, I
Wow.
like it. Like I had nothing to offer as a mentor other than good, like which made my job easy, but also I was like, man, I wish, because that was specific blocked off time each time your virtual thing met, right? She was working on it. She's also a pretty motivated person anyway, but still, I was super jealous. I'm like, I whipped everything together real quick near the end before our like showcase, but she came out of it like done. So
Well, I think that's different for everybody, right? So it's
yeah.
always the idea of the design process and where you're at. And I'm actually really surprised by your story because I'll be honest, I made a slight assumption on a couple things, but I was like, he must have gone into this whole Google Innovator process when he switched to computer science, right? So I was like, yeah, that's when it happened. But then I'm intrigued by this idea that your entire project was based around when you were a music teacher and
Yep.
the idea of allowing to have that student voice and having cultural representation and connecting in that group, right? So, would you think that there is a perception that technology doesn't really fit into like a music space or even like how has your background in music made you think about creatively using technology to have those two different things gone together? Because even though you didn't have it finished right away, it
Mhm.
seems like you've done some really cool things with that.
Yeah, my school district is I'm not going to say not like other districts, but it is mostly because we kind of value technology. We were already one-to-one with Chromebooks, so when the pandemic hit, we were like, okay, we'll bring it home today. Like it wasn't a major issue other than like there were certain kids we were like, okay, here's a Wi-Fi puck because we don't want you to have to sit in the McDonald's parking lot or whatever. But for the most part, we're kind of tech forward in a lot of ways. And that was kind of the path I was hoping for. I was like, I'm taught beginning band for a while. I'd like to be one of those ed tech people, please. So I was already diving in deep to a lot of that stuff. And so um, I was trying to find ways to make it work. And a lot of the classroom music teachers all had smart boards, right? This is dating things a little bit, and I led a couple trainings for them because they were all using Keynote because you can import music much easier into Keynote than you could into Google Slides back in the day. And then our district just went, well, the we're not going to maintain our whatever to Apple's Pages, so you have to switch to this, which is silly because it's like Pages updates once every decade. So I'm like, why were we worried about here? But we were told to move everything to slides. So I was already seeing that a lot of the classroom music people were at least tech competent, right? And so I was able to take like, well, they can already do a bunch of this stuff, and this is stuff that I kind of dig. So surely there's a way to put them together because it's yeah, and then making a website was just Google Sites, man. Like that's super easy. So, yeah, it it kind of married itself pretty well altogether, but generally there I wasn't too concerned about it because most of the teachers were pretty tech savvy, and the ones who weren't know how to use slides. So,
You're so humble. Like you make it sound like it's all so easy, but you were a music teacher and then you went down this ed tech road, but then you like graduated past like being an ed techie to being like an actual comp sci engineering teacher, which is like that next level of things.
it's just a
I'm
badge.
wondering,
That particular badge was another master's degree, but it's all the same thing, right? Like, aren't they all just different? Like, it's weird to find levels of achievement in education, right? So you just got to make your own. So, all right, I'm going to go for this badge. All right, I got that badge. I'm going to finish that degree. All right, well, I got that degree. Now I got to go for that one. So, you know,
oh my gosh. No, I mean you just make it sound like it's so simple. You have such like a cool, I mean, like you're just so cool. I
I
love
would.
your story, your path.
I'm wearing a Star Trek t-shirt. I don't know that it's that cool, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, it's cool. It's very cool. But now I'm curious, like going from music and band, like this very creative space, and you're still involved in a lot of music, into this like algorithmic computer science engineering space. Do you find that having that initial creative mindset, do you see that appearing and benefiting your comp sci and engineering classes?
100%. Like, um, most of the projects I'm doing are more or less canned from like a code.org or a code.hs or where I've taken different parts of those things to put together a project for them to do. And because there aren't here's the benefit of where I am. Minnesota is dead last in computer science in the like country.
Oh, wow.
We made it to number 48 for a little bit, but then we're back to like dead last. So Bloomington is like number one, but we're number one in Minnesota, right? So like it's like we're the top of the heap, but the heap is it's still at the bottom of the whatever. So anyway, we do a lot of these canned projects, but all of because there's no like state standard, right? We can kind of build what we want our program to be. And we have the benefit of all of our elementaries. There's a couple of them what are called computer science immersion schools. So K through 5, they get an hour of computer science every week from kindergarten through 5th grade. When they get to middle school, they're sent to one of the computer science immersion schools, which is mine is one of them. And so I get these kids who are coming in 6th grade who already know Scratch coding to a certain extent. Like they understand if then, they understand if then or if then and or whatever, right? Like they understand a lot of the basics of computer science stuff. So really what it comes down to is I can then build the program I want that is completely project based all around whichever CSTA standards we choose to observe. Does that make sense? So like there's
Yeah.
no state requirement for CS right now, like at all. And so
Wow.
we can do kind of whatever. And so it's been really fun finding projects that let the students express their creativity, right? And usually write about their favorite subject themselves or one of their interests. And so it's really given us the opportunity to make these projects where like my 6th graders have to create a website using HTML and CSS. Make it about yourself. But don't give away any personal information. So make it about your favorite snack food or fast food place or um, Roblox game or you know what I mean? And so they get the opportunity to be creative, right? And having that background in a creative field, it lets them to go, okay, let's not worry about the bones of your website right now. Let's focus on what your content is going to be, right? and how do you want it to look? Then I can steer back to, well, the content we're going to put into these CSS or these HTML tags, and the CSS is what's going to make it pretty. So we can come at it from the creative side, right? And then stick in all the computer junk as like, surprise, you learned something. I tricked
That
you into
that is so
learning.
cool. I like the idea. I'm like fascinated by this idea of like a computer science immersion school. That just seems like
Yeah.
mind-boggling to me. And okay, so now I have the question to go down this path because when you're in a very not unique place, but you're in the classroom still, you're doing amazing things with technology. It seems like your district values that. And then you're involved in all of these things where you say like you are chasing badges, but I've known you from ISTE and Liz has met you through like Google different groups and communities and stuff. So I'm wondering like in that space, like how do you feel working with adults and knowing that you're still in the classroom, like you have that unique perspective of like, I have the pulse on the situation. I know what's going on in a classroom right now. And then you're with all of these different communities of adults. Like, how do you manage those two different spaces all the time?
Um, because there's not a lot of difference between my middle school students and the adults I work with. I know that's not something that we like to hear, but it's also not surprising, right? I mean, being totally honest, like you've surely run PDs where you look out and you're like, okay, that person's checking email. They're clearly shopping for shoes on Amazon. They're not paying attention at all. The difference is the middle schoolers will just be like, how do you spell Louboutin? Like, because they will make it obvious that they're not listening. The adults at least kind of try. But the same kind of students I see in all of these, right? And I'll be honest, I'm one of those kind of students as well. So I get the perspective, but like for the most part, it's the same. So like I'll get I was making this joke a while ago, but it wasn't a joke exclusively. I was doing one of my many side hustles. I was an adjunct instructor for the school that I finished my master's in. And so I was just teaching a class I'd finished a little bit earlier, just doing essentially just I got to see the other side of Brightspace D2L. So I didn't have the student log in, I had the teacher one. And I received an email from one of those adult learners who is a teacher in another district somewhere in the state. I got that an excuse like that, and then the same day a similar excuse, not word for word, but from one of my middle schoolers. Like the
That's
it's
great.
it's the same people, right? And so it's not that different, I guess, to answer your question. Like, granted, I might get to go somewhere else and meet new people from other places around the world, but everyone's still people and we're always kind of the same student. We might learn new skills, but we're all the same kind of people
That's a
mostly.
great perspective. And I mean, that's exactly why you're so successful at all of these different things you do because like you said, we're all people and we're all learning. And so that's like, it's like part humility and part patience and part empathy. It's all of those pieces together when we talk to a lot of people who are just starting to kind of branch out of the classroom and they're used to having kid learners and they're fine talking. And we hear a lot of people say, oh, I'm fine talking in front of my class, but don't put me in front of the faculty. Don't put me in front of parents. Don't put me in front of grownups. I think having that perspective of we're all people and that patience and empathy, that's really what's made you so successful and amazing, which is awesome. But I'm wondering now we're talking about like all of these badges and all of these credentials. And I mean, we're calling them badges, but like you said, like you're talking about degrees and career changes, and it's phenomenal. Can you tell us maybe some like your top three like badges or credentials or things that like were really worth it to you? For I know we have people listening who are interested in Innovator, but I
Mhm.
know they're hungry too.
Right. So let's see, the ones that are most prominently featured on my webpage are ISTE certified educator was a whole thing, right? Like that's really involved. And now that I've gotten to work for ISTE as a trainer, leading people through that, that's been super cool. So I've had the opportunity to uh, just guide people through that curriculum, which is cool. Um, Microsoft Innovative Education Expert, the MIEE thing. They have a fellows program that's above that, getting to meet the Microsoft side of people has been really interesting because as much as my district is very Google centric, as soon as you dig into the Microsoft stuff, it's all really similar, just the buttons are in different places. I mean,
That's great.
Teams is a bummer, but generally speaking, everything is more or less like, oh, they just call it that over here, and it's just, you know what I mean? They're they're getting very, very close together. Um, I recently became an Apple Distinguished Educator. That was super cool. Because I'm a major Apple fanboy. In fact,
Nice.
this is the first time I've taken off my Apple Vision Pro was for this because I didn't want to be wearing it during our thing. So like I'm all Apple all the time. So the opportunity to be an ADE has been pretty cool. Um, I'm working on an EdD right now, so I'm fingers crossed I'll finish that at some point. But yeah, I my
Do you
first
sleep?
master's not well, not real
You're
well,
just
if I'm honest.
amazing.
Well, um, I could be flip or I could get real. But uh, I'm 50. I'm not going to be around a whole lot longer. My family history shows that because my mom made
Oh
it to
no.
six. My mom made it to 69 and my dad's 70 something, but not doing great. So like this is all we get, y'all. So I'm
You're
gonna
going
make the
for
most
your
Well,
of
the
it.
hit.
life to live, right? So if you're
Yeah.
okay, so you're involved in so many communities, and I think it's not just chasing the badge or getting the qualification, right? Like sometimes it's that space of having those people to amplify what you're doing. And so knowing that for innovators, like let's come full circle, like if they're thinking about applying right now, like what's some advice you would give them? Because you're in so many different communities. Like, what's that sense of community? Why should they become an innovator?
Well, I'm in a weird place because I became innovator and then the world shut down. And I found Global GEG. Do you guys remember that at all with like Luis Pertus and
Yes.
Stephanie
Hmm.
Howell and Stephanie Rothstein? Um, before it became Global GEG, they wanted to do an EdTech Smackdown. And they were like brought to you by GEG UK. And at that point, I just started GEG Minnesota metro area. And I'm like, ooh, can we include that one? And finally, he's like, forget it. Let's just make Global GEG. So I had the opportunity to kind of hop in and to Global GEG early on. And because I was an innovator, I got to meet all of these people from all over the country and the UK and South America and Canada and um, Australia, etc. So basically, English speaking innovator, I got the opportunity to meet them. And so just by being an innovator, I got to meet some amazing people from all over the world that I'm still in contact with today through WhatsApp. So like if you're thinking about joining Innovator, do it. If you're wondering why you should do it, you will just like if right now you have a close friend in your district or in your building, that's great. But getting to see perspective worldwide is the reason to do it. So like I got to see how things are done which like in Wisconsin, because I got to meet some people through in like Wisconsin innovators that I wouldn't have met otherwise. But then I got to meet some people who were in Colombia and the UK and Italy and Australia and New Zealand. And so getting and seeing what education is like there. People from Taiwan, seeing what expats are dealing with in Hong Kong and the schools that they're working in. I would never have had the opportunity to get the nuts and bolts of education in those places had it not been for Innovator.
Yeah, that's a common theme that we've heard from a lot of people is that it's really the people, the
Hmm.
community, the perspective, and
Yeah.
it's this like this group that we're a part of that is so cool. This conversation has been just amazing. You're so inspirational.
Oh,
Um,
oh, sorry.
as we wrap up this lovely conversation, is there anything you have coming up that you're excited about that you want to share or talk about?
Um,
Will you
no.
be at ISTE?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'll be at ISTE. Um, CSTA is coming up after that. That's in New Orleans. That should be fun. I originally planned to go to ISTE, just fly in, do the thing, and fly out. Because usually my family comes with, and we make it like a vacation or whatever. They're off
Mhm.
having fun while I'm having fun. But like, I'll get back to the hotel, and they were at a water park all day. I'm like, I was inside.
Different kinds of fun.
Yeah. And so
Right.
they're not coming with this time to Orlando because we might have a trip to Hawaii later. That whatever. Um, because my daughter's in the marching band and she's going on the trip, and my wife said, no, we're going with this time. So we'll do what's called a shadow trip. But anyway, I wasn't planning on doing much of anything in Orlando, and I found out Universal has a Nintendo area that's like a
Yes.
Super Nintendo, Super Mario type situation.
It's
Yeah,
fantastic. You have to do it.
I'm 100% going to do it. So
Yeah, we did it last summer and it's worth going.
good, 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 good.
So what I hear is the three of us need to meet up at ISTE and go to Epic Universe.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rick, for hanging out with us. If you're an Innovator alum who wants to share your story, we want you on our show. So come hang out with us. We love hearing all these stories and everyone's unique adventures and journeys to get here. And we'll see you next time. So stay connected, stay inspired, and keep it unscripted.